Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything DeFi Kingdoms and keeping it casual. My name is MattyPesq. Today I am joined by Franz, as always. Franz, bud, how we doing?
Doing great. Ready to talk some PvP.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Guy Kid bailed on us. He had some sort of obligation, whatever. So instead, we got Bob Nothing to fill in. DFK Fight Club expert in general, just DFK fan. Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing great tonight. How you doing?
Good. All right. Oh, I left my notes on screen. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys.
Oh, geez. Ruined everything.
So professional. Today, we're going to be talking all about the combat alpha that was dropped on Christmas. Was it Christmas Day? Yeah, Christmas Day. The team dropped all the combat keywords and all what the abilities are. This is super exciting for us. We love, theory crafting, and this was so much fun that they did this. What, just general thoughts before we get into it. General thoughts on these guys dropping this alpha on Christmas Day.
Yeah, well, first off, my man Pots and Pans over here vibes with the like and subscribe. Thank you for that.
Yes, definitely do that.
That's all I had. That's all the alpha I have. That's
Bob,
why
any
that's why
general
Bob's
thoughts
here.
before we get detailed? General thoughts on them dropping all this on Christmas Day.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely fitting. It's usually in the development process when it's not finished, they're very reticent to give you anything. So it is kind of like a Christmas present for us. So on theme, because usually there's just basically no upside. You just get yelled at more if you do something like this, and then anything comes out differently. So there's a pretty good reason from a development side that you would never do this, but they did it. And Merry Christmas us.
Yeah. I mean, I think on that end, I think this has to just be more evidence that it's close. It's coming. I mean, if they're this confident to be sharing this information, I think they're in some of the final stages, Otherwise, you wouldn't be sharing this.
And just a note before we really get into it. So Vibes was saying pull up the Wowie Google Sheet. So we did see
We
that.
have it. Yeah.
We have it. We're gonna get into it a little bit later in the show. We didn't want to look at it too much because I feel like once you see what Wowie was saying about how he feels about things, it's very hard for us to kind of take the other point of view. Like you read it, I'm sure it's all good stuff. So it's I agree with that. So we want to kind of give our own take and then pull his up and see kind of where we differed and discuss from there. But shout out to Wowie. That was great work, and yeah, we'll get that up too.
I skimmed it as well. I thought it was pretty cool.
No, it was very cool, and yeah, we'll talk about it. And I think you're gonna find in our conversation that we hit on a lot of the same things he talks about. I shouldn't. I'm guessing it's a he. I didn't know that for sure, but we have a lot of similar thoughts to Wowie there. All right, so I did up some notes earlier. The first thing we want to talk about, because it's kind of quicker, because we got a ton of information. But the first thing I want to talk about is what we don't know. One of the biggest missing piece of information, I think, in all of this is basic attack. We know a basic attack is an option that your hero has on their turn. We don't know the formula for how that basic attack happens, if it's unique per class, if magic casters do magic damage, or the regular or the martial classes do physical damage. That's sort of the big missing piece right now. Do you guys? I mean, was there anything I'm missing on that? Like, did you see any evidence of what that might be anywhere?
No, so I asked Workhorse about an hour or two ago. Said, does basic attack equal physical attack?
Right.
Or for casters, is there like shoot a little fireball type of deal? And he said soon, basically, like he'll tell us soon. So
Okay, cool.
he didn't want to answer that, and to me that makes me think that there will be a magical component for casters, because otherwise I think he would just say it's physical. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pure speculation.
Yeah, we don't know, but I have some pretty good guesses about basic attack. Based on the actions you can do in a turn, that seems like kind of your punting for a turn, or when you run out of mana or you run out of abilities or traits that you want to use, that seems like when you would use a basic attack, or maybe some strategic things if they're just too low and you want to conserve your resources. But it seems like kind of your default when you don't have the resources to do something better. And, presumably the martial classes, will use strength, dexterity to, hit somebody. And
Right. Well,
it's interesting what you say about the maybe wizards will be good at basic attacks because Workhorse will make it so that it works differently for them. That would be very cool.
Yeah. I think I hope that there's a little bit of difference between per class that the casters are not physically attacking because they're going to be so terrible at it.
But at the same time, the casters are going to have a lot of mana, whereas people that would be good at basic attacks won't. So the casters, in theory, shouldn't need to use it as much. So that kind of balances itself. You know what I mean?
It's a good
right,
point.
Yeah, they'll have a bigger pool.
Yeah, and your heavy hitters, your Dark Knights with the highest strength, or Dragoons, Dreads, whatever, them doing a basic attack, not having as much mana, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The basic attack will be more powerful for them.
I also think an interesting point on the basic attack is dexterity. They've said dexterity is related to accuracy. In traditional, I shouldn't say traditional, like in D&D, dexterity determines your ranged attack. So do you think there'll be a distinction in the basic attack for ranged or melee?
I hope so.
Me too. And because, obviously Archer and now Spellbow are both, dex, maxis. So I hope there's a distinction on the basic attack there. I hope it's not just the same formula for everybody. I hope there's a ranged, I hope there's a melee, and I hope there's a magic. That's just my hope, but we don't know that right now. All right. What else? So for other stuff we don't know, critical hits. We know critical hits are a part of the game. There's multiple mentions of it in some of the skills and some of the other combat words, but we haven't gotten the exact how it works. Is it luck-based? Is it, double damage? Is it a percentage more damage or things like that? So we're still waiting on critical hits. There's not much analysis here. I just was trying to find the things that, we still need to find out about.
Wasn't there a little nugget dropped in PvP chat today about crit?
There might have been.
Yeah, I think so. So I believe they said that magic attacks and even heals would benefit from crit, or would be able to have a crit.
That would be cool.
He
critical
said
heal.
Right. So the luck, to me, I think luck is one of the most undervalued stats. I don't think any of us focus luck when, maybe we should. Maybe there are people that do. I don't. But he did say that the ability or the trait heal won't be able to be critted because it's a percentage-based type of thing. But normal heals will.
Interesting.
Skill tree heals.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't see that in PvP, but I do remember them saying a couple times in AMAs, Hubert or somebody, about luck applying and being useful to all classes because it would apply to spells as well. So that's been I do remember that because I have actually put luck on quite a few of my wizards and such.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually go
magic DPS, yeah.
I usually go agility as that kind of third stat when I feel like the vid is where it needs to be type of deal. But I think I might switch to luck in a lot of instances for that reason, especially with the term-based kind of setting that agility is in. We can go deeper into that discussion, but it's it's not going to have that traditional DPS kind of feel to it.
I think the ability that references luck, I believe it's an active ability, basic 7 or 8. I don't have it next to me, but I thought the numbers on that were interesting. Okay, here it is. Critical aim.
Oh, critical aim, right.
70% chance to crit seems like a massive amount.
Yeah.
So that could be a massive amount. It could not be. It depends on how they do it.
Well, also too, I think it could be like a critical hit is 1.25 damage. It's not even that much.
So I'm in a Pathfinder kind of D&D background where you crit and they just die because you do like 3 times as much damage, and that's how your characters die, is getting crit. So
and that's the excitement, is everybody at the
I
table
doubt
loses
it'll-
their mind when you roll that
Yeah.
20. Like,
I
you know,
doubt
that's what's
it
fun.
will be like that. If it's going to be 70%, it'll probably be a much smaller bonus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or not,
Or
or
maybe.
crit aim ends up being way OP. And
It seems amazing for a
Yeah.
basic if that's,
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and just the focus on crit in general. And I'm kind of bridging topics a little bit here, but
That's
the way that Workhorse was talking about toxic and how it's every instance of an attack,
Mhm.
I feel like we're coming from a place where thieves, ninjas, those kind of speed type heroes seemed a little bit like, all right, where are they going to find their place in this
Right.
game? Like, we all like them, but it didn't really seem like I'm starting to see the value and how they're going to be able to kind of hold their own.
Well, I think it'd be very cool if your critical damage was sort of an adjustable thing, especially on like a thief skill tree. You could like put more points into your critical damage. I think that'd be very cool. Sort of, going back to D&D, like the rogue's sneak attack. If he gets that off and it hits, it's a like Bob was saying, it kills the guy. Like, it's that strong, but it's also it's hard to get it off in the right situation. So I think that'd be very cool if the thief kind of played that role and could focus their ability tree on their critical damage. Who knows though? That was another one of my things we don't know. Things we don't know right now.
Yeah, we don't know.
The abilities trees. Like, we don't know anything about what the abilities
It's a long list.
Are going to be.
Things we don't know.
I have to imagine though. I did want to. Well, Bob, did I interrupt you? I'm sorry. I thought
No,
you were...
I'm saying we do know one ability tree, and Berserker has a number of abilities. I forget which of the 3 forms that focus on doing multiple attacks all at once.
Right.
So if Berserkers can do that, I would think it's pretty likely that a thief, a ninja, an archer maybe could also
we'll have the multiple
potentially have a lot of access to those sort of attacks.
Yeah. Well, and that was that. So that's actually a good point. It kind of leads me to what I was discussing. The whole point is like, we don't know what the ability skill trees are going to look like. I have to imagine though, and we see it in Berserker. There's Berserker moves that are poison. I think there's like 1 or 2 that were poison. So there's going to be some overlap with the skill trees that each individual class has, and some of these, the genetic. Sorry, I always say generic, even though it's genetic. You
got to work on that.
I know. Some of these genetic trait moves or passive abilities are going to have sort of overlap and synergy with individual skill trees. Are you guys now thinking differently about these individual, these, especially the basics specifically? Like, are you looking at the basics and saying like, I'm going to buy this hero, not buy this hero because this might go well with what their abilities will be,
I mean, there are definitely synergies, and there are definitely things that, like, and this is the one that I feel like is referenced the most to make the example, is a hardened shield on a caster. Don't know if that's going to have the same impact that I'm looking for. Another one now with all this talk about toxic on Grady and Ogre's stream, go check that out if you haven't. But Matty, something we were talking about before the show. Yeah, if all these multi-shot attacks, every instance has a chance to hit you with poison, great for a ninja, for a thief. If I have a big lug of a paladin that's taking these big swings with his sword, I don't see that class having too many multi-attack attacks, right? Or skills.
That toxic isn't going to be as effective on somebody who just has one big swing as his move,
And for that being a passive, I'm much more wary about having that on my hero. If I have an active that doesn't really synergize, cool, I won't use it. But these passives being on there the whole time, I think it's very important to have them fit the right way.
Agreed. All right, I want to move on to some combat stuff. Last thing I want to bring up here for things we don't know, the channeling. So the channeling thing I thought was really interesting. I think this is...
So wait, explain channeling.
Maybe the first time we've seen it. Channeling is basically it's a 2-turn move. A hero casts a spell so powerful that it requires a full turn or more to charge prior to casting the spell. So obviously, shout out to all our old school Pokemon fans. Solar Beam or Hyper Beam are these moves where there's one move of like gearing up, and then there's one move where the blast is done. I found this kind of interesting, and then also there's a whole bunch of moves that can interrupt this. That seemingly seems like a lot of moves can interrupt it, honestly, and I don't know. It would have to be like such an incredible spell or a game-changing move, because I feel like this was going to get blocked, or your guy's going to get targeted, or there's going to be some sort of way to stop it, because it seems to take a long time to get this off. Obviously, we'll find out more about what channeling means, but any kind of thoughts you guys have on that?
Yeah, I think there was a graphic Warhorse put out about kind of like reach in terms of like your sword can hit the guy in front of you,
Right.
your spear, your halberd can hit 2 guys, and then your archer can hit several. So I think it'll depend on if you can just sit your wizard in the back row and they don't have a good way to reach it, it could be really overpowered. Whereas if they can interrupt it with, that'll be kind of the team composition type of thing to keep in mind is, if the meta requires,
Right.
has a wizard in the back casting some, because there seems to be some really cool spells based on these keywords that the high level Magic users are going to have access to. So you might really value an archer or a caster of yourself to interrupt that type of thing.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, now we're talking about like strategies of like individual games, right? And I'm picturing an instance where I might start channeling because I want to make one of his heroes not do what he was planning to do next. It's like, all right, I'm going to forego my wizard turn, right? Because I'm going to start channeling, and I know he's probably going to interrupt it, but now he's not swinging at my paladin that's low health already. I have an extra turn to kind of, heal him up or do something different. So
yeah, that's a good point. Of it could be kind of like a red herring move. Interesting. I think we'll get more details on what is the caliber of spell that requires that channeling, because I would hope it would be very strong. Otherwise, I don't see anyone doing it. But
yeah, and though it seems like there are a lot of things that interrupt based on this list, like these keywords could just be like 1 or 2 like abilities in the entire game over these however many classes we have, 14 or whatever, like banish, the one you have out there. Look how powerful that is.
Banish,
that probably does not exist on very many. Like that's probably like a really high level for like 1 or 2 classes maybe. So while it looks like there's a lot of interrupts, like these probably are not very easy to pull off on the guy who's channeling, maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe you can interrupt him with damage too. It doesn't really say. We wouldn't really know that. That's another thing we don't know, is if you just shoot a guy with an arrow, do you have a chance to interrupt? Do you automatically interrupt? Do they have a check to kind of concentrate?
Right, like the concentration check.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and just quickly looking at the traits, there isn't one that kind of involves interrupt, right? So it'd have to be something in the skill tree, and then it comes down to, I know we have berserkers with poison moves, but like maybe not every skill tree has an interrupt function, or a lot of them where it makes sense to have it on.
Well, I will quickly mention daze and exhaust and stun.
Oh, did
they do interrupt, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm wrong on that.
At least based on the definitions.
Right. So those keywords are defined and then there's interrupt. So I would think so too.
So that's interesting. But that is a good segue. We're going to move we're moving into things we do know now. And the things we do now are the combat keywords.
Because they're written here.
I think interesting, the first kind of thing, there's obviously a lot of super cool stuff here, but I think the daze, stun, blind kind of distinction is really interesting, and exhaust. So basically, daze interrupts the target's, what is it? The next turn is, all right, daze moves them to the end of the round, but it doesn't confuse them. See, I thought it would confuse them, but it doesn't. It just moves them to the end of the round, which could save you.
That seems like the weakest of the 4.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
It seems more tactical.
It's a little underwhelming, I think.
Seems tactical and very situational.
Especially for it's an advanced.
Because they still get to go. And I would wonder if they are now in the back of the turn order for the rest of the battle as well. It
Oh, that's a
doesn't
good
say
point. Is it
it doesn't
permanent?
say move it back there for 1 round. It
That's a good
says
point.
move it back there. So maybe if you're a build like a thief that really relies on going first every round,
Sure.
that really screws them up.
Well, wait, it says target's next turn is moved to the last in the round. So it does kind of specify.
Target's next
Turn is moved to the last in the round for days.
is that what that
okay,
means?
so the day's ability.
I wasn't reading it like that.
No. See,
Oh,
the
okay.
day's ability doesn't clarify. But the day's definition does.
Yeah,
right?
days target enemy, and then
Yeah.
the days
The next
definition.
turn is moved to the last round.
So wait, I don't understand the phrasing of that. I think, okay, so say I daze you, but you've already went this round.
Right. Okay. So that's.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited. Yes.
But or what if I daze you, but you're about to go right after me?
Right.
I
so,
don't understand from that wording exactly what that means. And
So
if
there's a
it's permanent
chance
or not.
though, if let's say you are the second to last to go, and you're targeting the guy who's last to go, and you daze him, there'll be literally no effect.
But I see.
Right? Are you following my understanding of that? Like next turn could be that same round.
I don't know.
Okay.
It also depends on how they do initiative. If they just
Right,
roll
yeah,
once,
I mean-
and then that's your order for the whole fight, or if they
Yeah.
roll
Can you
every
change
round.
that? Is there a reroll whatever for
So-
agility?
I don't know. That one's confusing to me.
But,
It seems weak, but we're not going to know until
Yeah.
As far as utility for it, if we're understanding it as like the next turn, or like their next action, the idea of putting it on someone that's low health and trying to kill them ahead of
It could
you
be.
know.
Yeah.
when they go. But I agree, a little underwhelming on that one.
Yeah,
And I have a lot of days,
and yeah,
so-
we'll need to know. Obviously, we'll need to know more details, and honestly, we probably won't even know till we get some sort of play test or some sort of version that we can look at and see how it goes, how the turns work. When they're live. But the next thing is exhaust. So we saw a lot of exhaustion with the Berserker, and now they gave the definition of it, and it's just as confusing as days, in my opinion. So hero cannot take an action next turn, and then parentheses for 1 round. So if you exhaust them, if you move prior to them in that turn, are they exhausted for just that turn, just that one, or does it go for the next round? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, why is the 1 round specified?
I don't know.
I think that's specified because it matters if they've already gone or not.
Right. So if you
So
act
either
after
way,
them,
either way, I think you get them for 1 round.
yeah.
But it's either going to be this round if they're about to go, or it's going to be next round if they already went.
Okay.
I
I think that's how I understand it too, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. But I do think there's a little room there for it's
That's
a little weird.
That seems a lot better than Dazed. And
Yes.
That's why, and they're sitting right next to each other as active 1 and active 2.
I know.
So that's Dazed would feel better if it wasn't sitting right next to Exhaust.
I know.
Yeah.
So, well, Franz, do you have something there?
No, I didn't. I was saying yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all your analysis on that.
That's what I'm adding here.
Okay, that's good. So now to even make it more complicated is disarm, which really threw me for a loop. So this isn't none of the abilities or none of the genetic traits have this. So this is a new combat keyword that they said. So target is unable to basic attack or cast an ability this round, which to me sounds exactly like exhaust. I mean,
Well, it doesn't say that they can't use a trait or an item or reposition, which are the other 3 options.
okay. So
Which
yeah,
is
so
interesting.
it just would limit. So disarm just kind of limits your options there.
Yeah, so that's probably like a fighter ability, knight or
Yeah.
warrior or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's
Or no, I could see
warrior having
a
that.
thief even
Or something.
like a
Thief, yeah, it's definitely
quick
a thief.
move, quick disarm.
But yeah, that's definitely different than exhaust or stun because you still have 3 other options that aren't
Right.
listed.
Which
So
one
now,
was
all right.
stun
So
again?
now, I think the strongest of all of them, which I think this wasn't a surprise, stun. Or I skipped blind, but we'll go back to that in a minute. But stun is target's next turn is skipped. So they don't have any options here when they're stunned. They can't use an item. They're just out for that round. So stun is obviously the strongest, of all these kind of
And
moves we're talking about.
as an elite skill. It
Yeah,
should
and
be,
that makes
so.
sense.
I'm a little curious what the difference between that and exhausted is.
Well, so That's a great question. I think cannot take an action, so I'm assuming maybe
what-
repositioning is still allowed.
I don't know.
But that's an action, isn't
No,
it?
Is
an
that an
action.
action though?
An action is defined as one of those 5 choices.
Yeah, it's the first thing on there.
So, from what I understand, which is
Right.
not that much, they seem like the same thing to me, but they probably aren't.
Is it possible, and I don't know if I even believe this as I'm saying it, just kind of throwing it out there, that with stun, the idea of the turn being skipped, that it can't even be targeted by your allies? Like it's just kind of out of the game for a turn.
That's interesting.
But like as I'm reading it, like I don't
Yeah.
actually agree with that. I'm just kind of saying it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
don't
know
about that.
I know in D&D when you're stunned, it's like a status effect too, which exhausted is not. So in stunned, you
Yeah.
like lose all of your armor class or your
Yeah.
kind of evasion type armor class and get critted a bunch. So maybe it has some other effects in addition that exhausted doesn't have. But
That's a good point. Perhaps you lose your evasion. Wow, I don't know, but yeah.
I don't know. That's just how D&D
That's
works.
very-
That
yeah,
doesn't. That's very niche.
And
And I don't know that many games, so it's kind of silly just to keep
Yeah.
referencing the 2
No,
or 3
don't
that
worry.
I do. But
Franz gets mad at me because I just reference D&D constantly.
well, it's
I told him he just needs to slip some other games in there.
classic.
He
I
plays
said
a lot of
Pokemon,
games,
I think, once.
Pokemon, yeah, that's a real deep cut.
Quickly, I wanted to say blind because it's kind of on the same path as all these other ones. Hero's accuracy is reduced by 50%. I kind of like blind, to be honest here. I think obviously stun, I think, is the strongest, but blind, giving them a 50-50
Well,
shot, I really like that.
The permanence
and it's
is
permanent,
what makes
yeah.
that great. Like that
Yeah.
to me, that's one of the better
Mm-hmm.
active abilities.
Yeah.
Because you're forcing them to use it to your turn to get rid of it, whether it be
Right.
an item or what.
Yeah, it does seem really, really good to me, except for the caveat that you can bring an anti-blind potion and just drink it.
Right.
Yeah, but still, that's a turn they gotta waste
But,
using an item. But
you know,
yeah,
In
we'll-
PvE, like some monster, some
Sure.
dragon probably doesn't have a potion to drink.
that's a good point.
So it might be a lot better there where
Yeah.
there isn't a human countering
Yeah,
it.
and
Right.
this is going off into kind of a different conversation that I don't think we want to go down just yet. But the idea of like the items helping the economy as a whole, you guys were talking
Sure.
about that on the Inner Grove last night, and
Mhm.
I think that's a big part of it. Where like incentivizing potion use, yeah, I don't love it as much as a game mechanic, but as a macro economy mechanic, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious how they limit it if they do. Like, how many potions can you have with you?
Hmm.
Because they probably should. Because if
Yeah.
you can just have, 5 blind potions with you at all times and just drink them for your turn,
Yeah,
you're basically immune.
If you're
That's
bringing
like
your
having
whole-
cleanse.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're bringing your whole inventory into a match, it's like, all right, I'm just not going to beat this person because they will spend until they win.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
not-
guessing they will limit your potion
Right.
usage.
They'll probably
A
be
handful.
a bag size, of what you can. Bring
You'll have
in.
to give up something to bring your blind
Right,
potion.
right.
And I would love for that to be a piece of equipment too. Backpack,
backpack?
for bringing it
You
into
can
PvP.
buy a larger backpack.
Make it a super rare item too. I don't know.
That'd be
Just
interesting.
spitballing.
Well, and then also to say have some negative effects. Like if you have a large backpack, you lose
Agility.
your agility to your turn order. You go a little bit
Mhm.
slower, something like that. Yeah. All right. Interesting.
Ooh, if individual. All right. So individual heroes having inventory, or you having an inventory
Ooh.
for your party. Maybe the
Well, that
idea
goes-
of like a hero could bring 3 items.
Yeah. So you
and
got
no
9
sharing.
total.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
That just
Yeah,
hit me.
that's
but-
fun stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think the items are pretty cool. In relation to this, it made me think a lot more about the items than I had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because what are they? It's anti-blind, stamina, health.
Anti-venom,
Anti-venom.
magic resistance.
So I have to assume that's
toughness,
poison, right?
Yeah,
That's like an
yeah.
anti-poison.
Magic resistance, toughness, and swiftness. So I guess swiftness is going to give you first strike, like the
Right.
speed thing. I guess toughness will probably give you mitigation of physical damage, like some of those abilities.
Yeah.
Magic resistance, I don't know. It'll
Yeah.
depend on how magic works.
Your magic
Just
defense.
buff your whiz, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
not buff your wisdom, but buff whatever the formula is
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
What your wisdom
Magic
is buffing
Sure.
will be magic
Right.
resistance.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, and also be interesting to see, like you said, like the economic effects, because also like it'd be really interesting to see the meta change and then the like price of the certain potions change.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that'll be wild.
That's
Mhm.
fun stuff.
I
That's like
know.
where the arbitrage becomes
Yeah.
fun.
Well, and then
And
also
that's
too, like
it's
if,
good for the smaller players
yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
that, you know, are
Making
just
potions will then
harvesting
become
things.
more,
Mhm.
profitable. All right. I had one more note.
I pulled up this comment from
Oh
Larry.
yeah.
What's up, Larry, by the way? I don't know if we want to go to it now, but this is something that we're going to discuss.
Yeah. I want to talk about cleanse, but we can get to that in a little bit. So yeah,
Cool.
let's go with that. So we're going to start talking about these traits. All right, we'll jump to passive. We'll jump to toxic because I think there's a lot to discuss about toxic. I think toxic is very underwhelming. I think it's such a low chance and applies. It only would be beneficial to like very specific heroes who are speed based, who have the multi attack, and I don't think everybody's going to have that. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, I think we need to know the abilities and know, maybe there's like a Fury Strikes or a quick attack that ninjas have that's like attack 5 times for a little bit of damage, and now if you add toxic to that, it could be beneficial. But in general, as an advanced ability, I'm super disappointed here in toxic. I'm upset.
You seem upset. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts? Or I mean, do you agree with me? Disagree?
No, I agree. I'm not upset about it because I don't really understand it, and I think it'll be very contextual. But
Yeah.
just from reading the text that we have, which is all we can go off of, it does seem underwhelming.
Yeah. And pulling up from Vibes here. So, yes and no, because it's not 6. It's not quite 6%.
Right.
We were talking, and Bob was saying
It's
before that he
close.
was doing the
It's
math.
like
It's
5.5.
close. Yeah, because it's 3 instances, 3 rolls of 2%. So, like, it doesn't stack in that way, and Workhorse confirmed that. So I don't know. Like, I think there are going to be a lot of games where you have toxic and no poison gets distributed throughout the game. So I don't know that a 2% roll, no matter how many times you can kind of how many instances you have.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can build a strategy around it because it's very chance.
Also, unless these matches are lasting a long time, the way that poison is outlined just does not seem that impactful to me. Like 2% of your
Yes. Okay,
max,
so that's
and
a
then
good
it
point.
scales, and it goes like by the turn. Like it's going to
Going
take
back to what
5
poison
turns
actually
to do
is, yeah.
Mhm.
a lot of damage.
And so it's capped at 20%, but that means you'd have to hit this 2% instance would have to happen 10 times to hit to the cap of what poison can do.
So I think.
Go for
ahead.
it.
No,
Oh
I
no!
think
All right, it
I think
I'm sorry. I'm wrong on that.
I think
You're
it
right.
scales by itself.
Okay, so the 2% goes every round, so it would be 2, 4, all the way to 20. But
That's
still,
how I read it. Yeah, it's not that much.
That's what? That's 10, not 10
We
rounds.
need a lot of rounds.
Yeah. So yeah, if the game is long, again, going back to what you're saying about like the PvE, maybe against a big monster that's a long battle,
Yes.
this could be beneficial. But I think
It doesn't seem that good in
Yeah.
PvP to me.
no, I agree with that, and I'm sorry, Larry. I'm sure you could sell your archer
Well,
to some unsuspecting somebody who's not listening to Bogside chats.
Larry, and also I've known Matty a long time. He tends to be wrong often, so just don't bank on that.
All right, so let's go back to we're in passive traits. So I'm gonna do my quick little thing here. I think Duelist, Clutch, and Foresight are the winners here. I think those 3 are excellent no matter what. Especially if you have evasion synergy. I'm hoping Ninja or
Wait,
Thief-
for the people who can't see your writing and don't have them memorized yet, which ones are those?
So Duelist is when you're down to 1v1, you get 20% bonus.
Okay.
Clutch is when you hit when you're below 30% health, your damage increases by 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And Foresight is permanently gain 8% evasion.
Yeah, Were you continuing there, or can I jump
No,
in?
no. I mean, I was just saying these are all great, and not only that, if you have double of any of these three, it's a superhero in my opinion. Double clutch, double duelist, or double foresight, I think is excellent.
Yeah, and also just the idea of, a sweeper and buffing someone that you're planning to have as your last hero left, right?
Right.
So if I'm buffing a Dark Knight all match and now he's my last guy, and well, I guess Duelist is 1v1, so he wouldn't get that if it's 1v3 still. But
No, yeah, he
right,
needs to
like
be that
you
1v1.
could
No, but I
see
know
how
what you
that
mean.
can be a
Yeah.
problematic meta right off the bat.
If you're planning on having one guy left, and he's a duelist, you're
Yeah.
golden.
They're
Yeah, you're in a really good
tankiest,
situation.
DPS, and Dark
Yeah.
Knight comes to mind because they are
Yep.
tanky, but they're also very strong. Whereas, I mean, I know Paladins have strength, but maybe that's Fight Club just in my head that they
Yeah.
just don't slap that hard in there. But yeah,
I would say Foresight seems great. That
Yeah.
might be a little strong for the other two. I think they're very situational, and you have to bump them down because of that, because they're just not going to do anything a significant amount of the time.
I mean,
But
that's
Foresight
fair.
seems great.
And I think one of the big reasons I think it goes into my next point here is that I think these, other than Fearless, I think Fearless is important, and we could talk about why that's important a little bit later. But this Headstrong, Clear Vision, Chatterbox, and Stalwart, I'm not impressed with any of these because I don't 40% is, yeah, it's nice, but I don't think I'd
I like
rather have
these.
any of the first three.
I'm pretty interested in Chatterbox on my casters.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess that would
and
be, yeah.
and blind, knowing the blind sticks around. That I mean, so for the way I'm reading this, right, 40% of the time, your opponent is wasting a turn.
Right, but I don't know. I would rather have this slot.
When
I
they-
only
when
have
they
two, I only
use
have two
that.
of these slots. I'd rather have these other ones than a chance to not be blinded on the off chance that my opponent is trying to blind me.
But
You know what I
but
mean?
so-
Like, what if, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that. I feel like it's a waste.
But in a PvP setting, right, where everything's on the blockchain and we all see what other people have, I'm going to focus Duelist and Clutch more early in the match because I don't want to deal with that. I know they have it, right?
Sure.
Whereas, with the Headstrong, with the 4 through 8, it's kind of more general. Maybe I just won't target those people with. Yeah, I mean, like the mental side of it could bring that 40% to 100% because nobody will try to affect me by fear if they know I have Fearless.
Well, Fearless, I
seems
like
good.
Fearless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it, Bob.
I'm very interested in not being targeted by fear or blind
Right.
ever.
Well, yeah.
So I think they're pretty good. Definitely the middle three seem better to me based on what we know. But yeah, I think they're pretty good, and you're just not going to be able to have double foresight on all your heroes. So you just have to get over it and do
Yeah,
the
that's
best you
fair.
can.
So I do want to get into Fearless a little bit, and maybe we should have talked about this earlier, but one thing that Fear does, I think the most impressive thing that it does, is it moves your opponents. It repositions them. If you are, I don't know what the right word is. If you gain fear,
If you're afraid.
if you're afraid, if you're terrified, your hero gets pushed back one position, and then can't attack. Let me double check that.
I think you can't do any skills or do any actions that cause damage. Right?
Oh, interesting. So
Physical
can't do any
damage.
physical damage.
So casters is not bad.
Yeah, casters
At
don't
all.
get afraid as much. But the big thing is it's pushed one, so it's moved back one position. And now, there's a lot of games that do this. Obviously, we have a great example with DFK Fight Club where positioning is super important in terms of, what heroes are going to get damage from your opponent or what, certain abilities targeting certain, we talked about this earlier of like, just having the caster in the back row. So Fear, I think, could be a really important skill to have, and having Fearless then as a counter, I think is beneficial. Great.
I
Say that
agree.
last part again. Wait, hold on. Say that last part again. I was looking at something.
I'm just saying, I think while I'm not really impressed with, say, Chatterbox or Stalwart, I think Fearless kind of shines here as being beneficial because Fear moving the positions could really mess stuff up for your like strategy,
Yeah, again, it goes back to a wasted turn. Like if my priest gets moved to the front line, my options are leave it there, and who knows how long it'll survive, or waste a turn with it to reposition it.
Right.
And that actually brings up an interesting point, right? the idea of repositioning. 2 heroes are repositioning.
Right.
Are they both using a turn? I wouldn't
No.
think
that's
so,
interesting.
right?
I don't know.
But like it's so like if I have my priest front line and my paladin mid line, can I use the repositioning on my priest to move it back and still attack and still have a normal turn on my paladin, which is in turn moving up?
I would think so.
I
Yes.
think so too.
It's
Unclear
an
though.
intriguing kind of decision to be making in the middle of the
I
game.
mean,
you know?
and,
I
well,
would think
yeah.
either of them could use reposition and have the same effect.
Right.
But
So
then, that brings up interesting things of if you know the initiative order, you know when certain people are going to attack, could
And
you
you're going to.
hypothetically move somebody to the front, have them take a hit, and then move as the other person and change it up? You know what I mean? Like have your tank come in, take a hit, and then have another guy come in and switch it out.
Because
So
then
that-
you're
so
using
that-
2 turns.
I mean, yes, you're using 2 turns, but then so that hypothetically on the next round, you have the guy where you want them in terms of the positioning, you know?
But there would have to be a reason you would want
Yeah, I
them
know.
in the
It's very
front line.
complicated, but hypothetically, in your scenario where you're saying like one repositioning is one individual hero's turn, you could do something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It probably is not worth it.
While we're back on this fearless stuff, we switched there. And I had a good question here. Do you think that when you have a double, right? Say I have double clear vision, do
Mhm.
we think it's going to be a full stack of 80% to not be
100%.
affected by?
yes.
Yep.
You don't think it might be 60?
No, the only reason because it brings up my point is the leadership and intimidation. If there was a cap, it would be noted in the ability. You see what I mean? So there's a cap for those ones.
All right, so it says for leadership, it says allies deal 5% bonus damage.
Mhm.
Bonus can't exceed 15 team wide, which theoretically each of your 3 heroes have leadership. It doesn't say anything. I feel like you're making an assumption where if I have double leadership, you're assuming it's 10% right off the bat. I'm saying
Yes.
it might be 7. That stack.
Why? Wait, why?
Yeah, I see what you're. So, Franz, you're saying, okay, I have one instance of clear vision that brings me down from 100 to 60% chance,
okay.
and then that 60%, I take 40% of that, which is 24. So it'd be 40 plus 24 is 66%.
Interesting.
64% instead of 80.
And I don't know the exact.
But I don't
math
think
where
I
they would
don't that
land,
I don't think that makes any sense. But that's what you're saying. I figured
Fair
that
enough.
out.
Fair enough.
You know what? I know exactly what you're saying. It's insane, but I know exactly what you're saying.
I figured it out. I disagree completely, and it makes no sense. But
Oh, and from the rafters.
From the rafters.
All the
Additive.
stacks in the game are additive. Okay.
so 80.
So
Yeah.
this is why I bring up these stupid points so that we can get instant clarification. Because he's like, well, I can't let that info stay out there. Like I have to correct that now.
No, the only reason I bring up leadership is because I feel like if there was a distinction with the stack, it would have been noted because it's noted in leadership and it's noted in intimidation. So if there was a reason why it wasn't going to be just a direct 40 and 40 is 80, it would have been noted in the description.
Mhm.
So an interesting thing is, I don't know if it'll be like this for the class abilities, but for the traits, it's not 100% chance to blind somebody. It's 80%. So
Right.
if you had 2 clear visions, you would basically be immune to the active 1 blinding winds, I think it's called.
Well,
I believe, because it says it's only an 80% chance to blind.
that's a great question.
Well, no,
I
isn't
think.
it? Wouldn't it be 2 rolls?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it 2 rolls
I would think it'd be a blinding roll and then a
and
clear
then like a
vision
saving roll or like a blocking roll?
Yeah.
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, we don't know. We don't know how it works. Also, so you're saying basically there's one mountain you got to climb, and if mine's at 80 and yours is at 80, we both know it doesn't happen.
Yeah, let's just move on with our lives. Yes,
Yeah, what?
basically. That's what I'm saying. I don't
Terrible
know.
analogy.
All right, let's get to my
Shake
my,
hands and agree that we're not blind.
Sorry. So I think now, looking at the passives, my absolute favorite skill is probably leadership. I think this is like ideal because it's an automatic boost. It's the whole team, and there's no sort of triggering event. You just get it right away. I think creating a team, and I think intimidation is the 1B to leadership's 1A. creating a team with 3 people with leadership or somebody with double leadership and 1 leadership, getting that 15% bonus, and then if you could, I know it's going to be tough, but if you could match it with also 3 intimidations, that is such a massive boost to your team. I mean, that's a strategy I'm going to be seeking out, is getting 3 instances of leadership and 3 instances of intimidation, so that I'm plus 15% on my attack and they're minus 15%. I think that could be the meta right now.
We're setting the meta already.
Right now.
We don't even know. We just went through the list of things we don't know, and it was a long one, but we're setting the meta.
But I think this is the best combination for a team right now is leadership and intimidation.
Maybe it could depend on the characters. There could be kind of a differentiation between like high strength characters where they have a high base damage, so they benefit more from something like leadership or percentage to their damage. Whereas like we talked about with thieves or ninjas or something, they get their bonus by different trickier things, so they don't have the base damage, so it's not multiplied as much. So it could depend like on your team how good it is.
Yeah.
But it's probably just good. It seems pretty. It seems like it's not that complicated of a proposal.
I think it's the clearest kind of straightforward. Have a Dark Knight, a Paladin, just guys who hit heavy, and can withstand some battle. Can take it from the other side. I think it's the best move right now. Obviously a dread with leadership.
Well, I mean, best
incredible.
Advanced, say. You don't think it's better than the elites, right?
I don't know. I think in certain situations, I think you could build a team around leadership and intimidation. And
yeah, I think confluence is king, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point. But as standalone abilities.
Right, sure. And also, interesting, where's the vibes? This is very interesting.
I said this too originally. I got yelled at.
It says allies. I'm assuming that means your whole team, including the hero that cast it. Now, that's a great question of, is it boosting just the other 2? I have to assume allies means your team, but that's a good question. If it is just the other 2, I will pull back a little bit on my this is the meta then, because that's not as strong, I don't think.
I would say it's 5% less strong.
Yeah, that would be a big problem actually compared to intimidation. It would be a lot worse.
Oh yeah,
but
intimidation.
I would not think it worked like that.
Yeah, I see those as opposite sides of the coin. Yeah.
Because in that instance, you would just want it on like your support class to boost your damage classes.
Mm-hmm.
right?
I guess, but I don't. That doesn't really make sense.
Tough. That's again.
But it also says bonus damage. It doesn't say bonus to your basic attack.
Well, I'm assuming it's across the board.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Is damage kind of like called out here? No, so it's what we think it is.
Yeah.
There we got the word.
We talked a lot about toxic. I do want to mention efficient a little bit here. I think efficient is just solid. Especially if you have it on a caster. I think it's solid. I like leadership and intimidation a little bit better, but I think it's just a solid ability to have,
Okay, so we got a little clarification. So allies is your whole team, teammates is the other 2, not yours out there.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what we thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Thoughts on efficient? I think it's good. It's good. Yeah.
I mean, whenever you have something that's percentage based, you're going to want it on something that has a higher number. 10% of a sage is, moves that cost 200 mana is going to be more effective than a warrior with moves that cost 20 mana. But again, maybe it's more valuable to have it on that warrior because he's going to be running out of mana more often.
Yeah,
so it is really worded. Yeah. It is worded so it's not like you have 10% more mana. It's that your skills, because like I said, it's very possible that the low mana heroes are going to have a choke point where they just have to do basic attacks and drink potions because they just can't do their stuff that they want to do. So it could be very good for them as well, because it doesn't matter how much mana you start with. You would presume their skills cost less mana, but we don't know that. Maybe they're really good and they cost a lot.
Well, and also it would be interesting if there is a something on the ability skill tree that individual heroes have that might give them a discount, a mana discount. Especially, I feel like a wizard potentially could have a skill tree that's like spells cost this much less, if you go on that track,
Did we see a lot of that on Berserker? Like, not that
No,
specifically,
we
but
No.
like, okay.
But I can envision that. I mean, I don't know, maybe not, but
Weren't
And
there like
we didn't see any
endurance-
mana costs on the Berserker.
no.
Right, I don't mean mana specifically.
Mana?
I mean,
Is it mana? I believe it's
damn it.
mana.
Anyway, I didn't see that. I didn't mean that specifically, but just the idea of like parts of the skill tree that just kind of buff or change things that are already on your hero. Like a Berserker, I think
Yeah.
with endurance they had it. I mean, that's more stat based than
Yeah.
effect based, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and also too,
Threw
there's
me off
interesting.
the whole mana thing. You told train of thought gone.
It's mana.
Yeah.
The what was I gonna say? Oh, there was a term that in the Berserker we saw pretty often was your fuck. Now I'm forgetting it. It's like your not active. It was like your effective endurance. So clearly, like there's going to be an endurance score that's like per battle. You know what I mean? That like it goes up and down
Hold
based
on, I'm pulling it up now. What were you saying? I have it up.
There's like some skills that say like increase your effective endurance by like X%. So clearly like there's your is that Guy Kid comment what is he commenting and not on the thread or sorry, that threw me off completely.
Yeah, I'm still looking at the list, waiting for you to say what you were saying.
No, I'm saying that there's a distinction between your like the actual endurance that your guy has, and then in battle, there's going to be a like specific endurance that based on your buffs or debuffs
Like
in
a
the battle.
defense, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we see it with basic damage, basic attack damage here, which that I don't know if that's kind of just wording because this is alpha stuff, but he calls it in one line basic damage, and the next line basic attack damage.
Whatever. It's not important.
Yeah.
Let's get back to this because we're already it's 10 p.m. It's not that bad, but we want to get to the active abilities, so I want to kind of finish up passive abilities here. When did you take over the stream?
Yeah. You get it back.
Thank you. Rude. Okay, the big boys here at the bottom. Giant Slayer, Last Stand, and Second Life. I think Second Life, obviously, it's the Exalted. It's, I think it's the best move, in the, or best generic trait. It should be. I mean, it's one of the, the hardest ones to get. There's less than 100 heroes that have it. But this one, especially versus Resurrection, I think this one is much stronger. And Bob, you talked about this. You were on our stream, or you were on a stream with them a while ago talking about action economy. And I think because this is automatic, this happens just when you die. You come back at 50% no matter what. That makes it clearly the best move or the best ability that we've seen so far, I think.
I agree.
But that's not a surprise. I mean, it's
No.
super rare to find them. It's hard to get it. There's only a 7% chance, even when you have the matching ability. So it makes sense that this move is so OP. I really like it. Because this will make a common hero be able to fight against like those heavier hitters. The higher rarities, advanced classes.
Maybe. I don't know. If you're getting smoked, like coming up with half your life and skipping your
know.
next turn, you're just gonna get smoked.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
if it's close though, it could absolutely matter.
Yeah.
So one thing that I was thinking about, the idea of, and I want to make sure because there are so many different instances of like kind of silencing, not silencing's the wrong word because that's also a keyword, but so exhausted. Hero cannot take an action next turn. So I'm seeing a scenario with Resurrection, and I don't know about Second Life because it's not really taking an action, where if I know that I'm going to kill someone with this transcendent ability the next turn, or I'm planning to, right? I exhaust him first so that, or I exhaust the person with resurrection so that
Sure.
that turn passes, he can't use it. I'm wondering if you think, I mean, the idea of taking an action, I guess, is defined, but I was going to say if it would stop the passive from triggering
I
as
don't
well.
think so.
I think the passive.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, this is.
Yeah,
gonna
I don't
go
think
off.
that would stop it.
I mean, I think it's a fair question, but I think it's.
What about stun? What's the wording on stun?
I think
'Cause that's the only one I've
death
picked.
wipes the slate clean.
The next turn
And-
is skipped with stun.
Right. I'm saying stun's gone once you die, in my opinion.
See, I don't know. I think if someone's stunned, their second life might not
That's insane.
go off. Because
I mean, if that's
No, I
true,
don't
that's
think so.
wild.
it says turn is skipped.
Right. So they don't get a turn. So they don't get to take an action, which is one of 5 things. And if
Okay.
at any point they die,
You're breaking
stuff
my
happens.
argument down. I'm not happy about it, but I respect it.
that's what I'm here for.
This isn't
Yeah.
an action. This isn't a turn. It's just a thing that happens outside of a turn. You know?
But for resurrection, my
for
point
resurrection,
stands
yes,
that, like,
I think you could stop someone. Yeah, hypothetically.
and I like that. I like that there are counters to even transcendence.
Yeah.
But
I think resurrection is a lot worse.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, all right. So a couple.
But they're
quick
both
notes.
good.
Before we get to, we're going to talk about the active ones, but quick note here: Giant Slayer. If your opponent has higher HP, you deal more damage. So there is interesting. There's a note about monsters there that's interesting. I have to assume that that's PvE and not
Yes.
like pets in battle, right? That's not.
I think they've said that pets in battle is going to be essentially an equipment slot.
Okay, so
Like,
that's
it's not gonna be
That
its
doesn't refer to
own
anything that's
sentient-
PvP.
Yeah.
I think this is basically because if you're going against a boss that's designed to take on a bunch of different heroes at the same time, obviously it's going to have
It would
more
have
hit
to be
points than you.
adjusted. Right.
So doing 30% of damage is a bit aggressive, but I think that's a really good spell. But
No,
I think it's
think it's great.
I think it's very class dependent though.
Yes. Well, that was what I was going to say. Is it's key. I mean, and while I think it's good no matter what, it's just a good skill. Obviously, to maximize its efficiency on a paladin, on a dark knight, on a dread, with somebody with huge amount of hit points,
Wait, you're saying Giant
it's not
Slayer?
going to be great.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
You know, like it needs to be somebody who's, I think, like a ninja.
I'd rather
or
have it on like
a summoner, maybe.
a sage or a
Yeah.
spellbow or somebody like that.
It
than one
has
of the
to
other.
be
than a
for it
goon
to
or a
work
Dread
very efficiently. You know what I mean? But that's tough though. It's a tough game there because obviously you don't want it to be too squishy of a hero, but to maximize it, you know, you don't really want your tank to have that one. You know?
30% is a lot passive.
Oh yeah.
That is like, that's basically like a huge buff landing on you that you don't have to have somebody cast. If you have like,
Well, and especially if you have it from the jump, like from the
Yes.
beginning of battle. I mean,
if you have like a squishy thief or whatever,
yeah.
like that guy's gonna wreck.
Oh yeah.
I also love the idea of, again, just trying to like work through a match in my head. The idea of at different points in a battle, it's for each given enemy, right? So if there's a paladin that has higher HP and a thief that has lower HP, I'm gonna get that boost against the paladin, but not the thief. So as that kind of changes, as the health fluctuates on both sides, I think it's going to be a fun mind game, like similar to Fight Club when we have to like count out the sage turns. It's like you're going to be sitting there like looking around as the timer's going,
Yeah.
like, wait, which do I get the bonus against? You know?
Yeah, so a character with Giant Slayer is gonna have to target based on current HP. So
Right.
they're gonna have to keep track of that because it's
You're going to have to, and your opponent's going to have to, and then they're the mind games.
that
Like,
seems extremely strong to me. That
Yeah.
seems like the best passive except for Second Life by quite a
Yeah,
lot.
I think I agree with that. Well, I don't know. I still really
What's
like
last stand
my
again?
leadership intimidation combo, but yeah, Giant Slayer could be. I mean, again, it's an elite though. I mean, these aren't.
It's
There's
really
way
good.
more elites,
But
obviously.
when you compare it to the other Elite 2 or the other Elite Last Stand, it just seems like
It's way better.
One of them's
Yeah.
a full game. The other one is triggering for a turn, and then it's gone.
Yeah,
It could be a big turn. It could be very beneficial.
sure.
But again, it's
you're right.
something that your opponent knows you they know when it's going to trigger, they can plan around it and try to mitigate the effectiveness.
Yeah, and I think Last Stand is kind of the same thing as Second Life, where if you just have a bad matchup and you're getting beat, it's not going to matter. It's just going to delay the inevitable.
You're just going to lose slower.
If it's a really close game, yeah, it could matter a lot.
Helpful.
I find this interesting, and also Giant Slayer, same thing here, talking about understanding this stuff. I'm very curious, and this is a question that Workhorse could probably answer, so maybe I'll shoot it out to him. What kind of what's going to be on our screen when we're in battle? Because if this kind of information is like easy to, you know what I mean? Like if the like Giant Slayer bonus is active, if that's like a thing that pops up on screen, I think that'd be very cool.
I don't think it should.
I don't know if I want that though, because I also want some mystery and make the person have to seek out what my heroes have. So I don't know, but I think it'll be very interesting to see what's sort of on the like interface when you're in battle. Like, will we know? I mean, will we have to look up the heroes and look up their abilities, or?
That's what I'm picturing, and I think that's something that we want.
What? I don't think so.
I don't know. Oh,
certainly not like their. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there'll be probably a HUD, right?
Yeah,
shit
where
ton.
you can hover over.
No,
stuff
not a shit ton. Shit tons.
Shit tons.
Exponentially greater.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So he's saying.
Yeah.
Did you add him? All right.
What's up, guy?
The final Bogside boy is entering the chat.
Oh, hey guys. Really bringing the excitement here late night.
Yeah. Hey guys. Yeah. So, Guy, we've been talking all these abilities. We're wrapping up passives. We're gonna go to actives now. Real quick, we sort of talked about it. Last Stand, I think, like you guys said, like it could be the one saving move, but also it's got to hit on the right time, and it's very specific. And for an elite, I don't love it. But it could. I don't know. It could be. And also, do we know what invulnerable is? Is that one of the
It's got to be.
I would guess just immune to damage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not. Described.
Yeah, then I would assume it's what we all think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way, that could almost be like a Second Life, especially if you have a healer on your team.
They're pretty
similar. Last Stand's gonna negate all damage, and then if you've got that paired with a healer, now you can bring that hero right back to 50% health or whatever.
So I agree with one note of turn order in a round. If this happens at the end of the round. And then, I mean, is it over? If you're the last hero in the order, and then you trigger your last stand, are you invulnerable for the next round?
I think it'll go to the beginning of your next turn. That's how it
it says for one round, not for the rest of the round.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting bringing up the idea of healing. I think healing itself kind of opens up so many different ways of theory crafting all of this. I mean, it's with Last Stand, it gives you more chance to heal. With Second Life or Resurrection, the idea of healing them quickly or having having some kind of ability to kind of protect them for a short period of time so that you have time to get heals off. I mean, that could just make them that much more valuable to you. I think we're going to see a lot of healers in play.
I think that's a great segue to come over to our active abilities. Heal obviously is basic 3. Heal target hero for 20% of max health. I think, you guys mentioned this on that other stream. I think for a hero that already has a skill tree with heals, I don't know if this is ideal. It's kind of just a hat on a hat for, like, say, a priest. But I think
it's not
for
bad,
somebody,
though.
What do you say?
It's not bad though.
No,
it is what it is.
Again, hey,
I agree with you.
If you're walking around with 2 hats, it's not the end of the world. But
2 bullish hats.
For somebody who's a tank who doesn't have access to healing, this could be huge. So I think this is one of the best basics for these active abilities. I mean, cleanse I think is probably the OP number 1, but heal is up there as well. I mean, what do you guys think about this heal and my thoughts on the hat on the hat theory?
I think it's kind of middle of the pack.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah.
Why? Because it's not enough?
It's 20%.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
20% of max, though, not 20% of whatever's left, right?
I guess it would depend.
If it's a dread, if it's a big boy.
Yeah. If it depends on how. I guess we've been kind of having this discussion with Fight Club. It depends on how condensed your team is in terms of their same levels. So like, you know how Fight Club works is you can have some really high levels and then like a little dork with like, but if that
Right.
guy had heal to heal your really high powered guys, that would be a different thing. But if all
Yeah.
your guys are kind of the same, I mean, it's good. I'm not arguing against it. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of middle of the pack. I could pick about 3 or 4 from the basics that I like better.
Yeah, it's a nice to have. It's not, it's not something I'm gonna actively seek out and build a meta around. I think it's a nice to have.
See,
So Worm makes a good point about
Yeah.
it takes up no mana. So in a pinch, it
No
could
what?
be very effective.
Takes up
And
the what?
also, healing potions exist. Like,
Right.
It's a good point, which also don't take up any mana.
Oh, there you go. You said it right.
But you can only use potions once per turn. So you could arguably have a 3 DPS team that all have heal, that all have potions, that you could actually heal your team 6 times.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think this heal.
Well,
I agree.
wait,
you're
I
not
think-
doing much damage if you're spending all your actions on heals and potions, though,
Wait,
right?
how are you doing it 6 times per turn?
3 if each hero has a basic heal, and then each hero has.
Well, I don't. Well, I don't think you
potion
can
as
do
well.
item and
Yeah.
the move at the same turn.
Well, I'm not saying in one turn.
That's like
Oh,
6
To
separate
Bob's
turns.
point is,
6
yeah, you're
separate
saying 6
instances
separate
of
turns.
You're-
heal.
Got it.
Yeah.
But if
Messing with
you-
your damage.
If you've got a 3 DPS hero team, what you're trying to do is you're trying to target down one hero on the other side and then do a reset. So it's all right, it's 3v3. We got one down. Now it's 3v2. We're going to reset and heal our team.
That's
and now
true.
we're going to target the next guy, try to get to 3v1. There's definitely some kind of combination there that could work.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I think. I mean, I know, and this is a separate note. I'm kind of going off track here, but Workhorse said he loves paladins, and every time I'm seeing this, it seems like some of these abilities like just work very well with paladins. Like a paladin with this heal, then you can focus. So the skill tree for paladin might have heals in it, right? But if he has this basic 3 ability, now you can do a skill tree that is like damage based, and you can have this as a bonus to that damage based paladin. Like, I think paladins are benefiting a ton from some of these abilities.
So first off, don't go down the he said it's his favorite, so it's gonna be good path. Yeah, Hubert said Monk is his favorite. Like we're really gonna play that card. They want to make a balanced game,
Hey,
but
Monk's stun. Just saying.
I know.
Yep.
Monk
Stun's the best.
Yeah, and so we just discussed stun is the best of all those status thing. Whatever. Sorry.
Anyway, so Zebu brings up a good point. Paladin with the healer sub and the idea of 15 skill points being able to be allotted to that subclass. Now, so this is something I was thinking about a little bit, and I think Paladin is one of the few exceptions to what I'm going to say because they have the high wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm seeing with a lot of subclasses, like if I have a warrior or a berserker, right, that has a priest sub, based on what I'm seeing on the berserker skill tree, and that's all we have as reference right now, a lot of them were percentages of the stats you already have for effectiveness of that skill.
Yep.
Warriors and berserkers, very low wisdom, which is the priest's kind of main stat there. That heal to me isn't going to be very effective. So I don't know that a subclass is going to be universal like that, where like, oh, I could just throw a priest sub on anything and be able to heal my ass off.
I agree 100% with that. I think we've discussed this of like since seeing some of what these abilities and what these combat keywords are, I'm thinking more and more that subclass. Listen. I know it's. I don't want to. I'm not like, trash talking subclasses, but I think it's becoming less and less a priority for me than what I was thinking it was going to be. Just because I think.
Well, you have to put. Did I just cut you off? Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I didn't have anything to say there.
You gotta kind of take into account that it is buffing your stats just in
Right,
general on level up.
Yes.
So there is that
Yeah.
that added bonus there. I kind of agree with you overall.
In terms of skills and
unless you
skill
find
trees.
confluence.
Yeah. I'd rather have the matching, get that sweet 15 point, ability, whatever it is.
But you can also look at that the same way too. The goal of your subclass is 1 or 2 more moves. Like that's it.
Yeah. Sure.
I just don't know when. I mean, all right, maybe, especially because we've been talking about it a lot, but maybe like ninja with a thief subclass, maybe there'll be some synergy.
I think the wonky ones are going to be cool.
I don't think it's going to work out.
Dark Knight with a
especially
wizard
like
sub.
Marshall and Caster. I don't think it's going to work out.
Well, so I'm just pulling a random.
Tell the intern his messages
skill.
are popping up on screen when he messages.
He just do his first ever summon.
No, did he? Is that what that message
that's what he
was?
said. We'll have to see what it is. But
Yeah.
So I'm just pulling a random skill here, and I lost. So Primal Rend, right? It's a wolf skill, 10 skill points. Activate to target enemy with less than X% HP. Deal damage equal to X% of remaining HP. So I think the value of the subclass is taking your opponent by surprise.
Yes.
If I have a Dark Knight, or if I have, I don't know, what's a good example? A Knight that would never have a skill like that, theoretically, and all of a sudden that comes out of the woodwork, it's something they weren't ready for, they weren't planning for. It changes their strategy and puts them on tilt right off the bat there.
Yeah, that skill you described, it scales like you would want it to as a subclass. Like, I don't see any real downside to putting that on a knight.
Yeah.
That specific skill. I don't know if they'll all be like that.
I mean,
but
can you
that
put
sounds
that on
pretty good.
Can you put that on a wizard though? I don't know.
But then you wouldn't pick that for a wizard.
I agree that you want your subclass to synergize.
I think you want. Yeah, I think it'll work if it's.
I don't think the wonky combinations will be.
Yeah, I think it'll work if it's wizard priest or wizard summoner or summoner wizard. I think those combinations are going to be great. I think the crazy combinations. I mean, just based on what we've seen, I could be wrong here. Maybe we're going to get blown out of the water by some of these skill trees, but I think those the mismatch, quote unquote, the mismatch class and subclass. I don't know if it's going to be what you want.
Because the tricky thing with the mismatches is like if it's a strength based move and you're a wizard, your strength based move's not going to do you any good.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I got a legendary berserker summoner, and at first I was jazzed up about it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna create one of these wonky builds.
Right.
But the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that subclass adding a few stats to these int and whiz, like it's just not really moving the needle too much.
Yeah. Again, and also even for berserker though, I'm pretty sure we didn't even see the full list. We've only gotten
No, agree.
like a partial list. So who knows? Maybe we're off base here. Let's get back to some of these active abilities though. I categorize them together. These first two, Poison Blade and Blinding Winds. Although now that we're talking about it now, I clearly think the Blinding Winds is stronger than the Poison.
Yeah, I have them in different tiers.
Really?
Yeah, I think significantly stronger for PvP.
The blind, right?
The blind, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the poison definition?
Yeah, we were talking about this. So it's 2% and it adds
another 2% every round.
Oh, we were looking at this. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
With a cap of 20. So the battle would have to be many, many turns for this to really do a lot of damage. Meanwhile, blind is, once it's in effect, it is permanent unless you put a counter in.
It wastes a turn because you're gonna assume they have a counter. You're wasting one of their turns.
Unless they're
just gonna stay there shooting at 50% from the hip the rest of the game. I mean,
and it depends on how restrictive they are with items. They might not have a potion if blind isn't in the meta, and you need to use your potion slots on swiftness to do some sort of tactical thing. And you need healing potions because you didn't bring a healer or something like that. You could run out of spots.
Yeah, I mean, say it's 5 potions.
Blind could wreck you.
Yeah.
Or you have 2 of these. You can have
Especially
lots of
if
these.
you have
It's
2 yeah,
basic.
I was gonna say you have 2 of these.
It's a
Also,
basic.
I'd be very curious to see what classes have just regular abilities that blind.
I would think Ninja Thief again.
Yeah.
Well, I
feel
also
like we're
think
attributing
there
a
might
lot
be a
to them.
track for Priest that does stuff like that. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of times Priest
I can see
and
that.
Guy can. Or actually, Bob, did you ever do World of Warcraft at all?
No, I did not.
But there was at least I know a little bit of World of Warcraft. There was one track where the priest was a healer, but then there also was a track where it was like a dark priest,
Shadow
and it was a lot of like spells that like fucked you up. And so I could see a priest having a blind ability. You know,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Guy, any comments on that?
100% agree. My main was the unholy one for a year.
Did you guys hear him? Was it sound?
No,
off?
that was very low. I think he said his main was the Unholy one, which
yeah,
sounds
I had a
pretty badass.
Yeah, that does sound
Shadow
cool.
Priest that I played for a while.
Very.
Am
Cool.
I still low?
No, you're
Yeah,
good now.
You're pretty low, yeah. But
Alright.
you know.
And the intern's got your back. He was
Yeah,
taking
intern-
notes.
intern
Intern backs you
supporting
up there. So yeah, I think yeah, maybe I'll change my original assessment that Blinding Winds is a little bit stronger than Poison Blade.
Vibes is calling us out.
I'm on team
Wow.
vibes, 100%.
No,
This is what we
and
do. No, this is what we do.
No,
I'm gonna
but
theory craft.
But he's right. We're saying there's a lot, and when you're having these discussions and you're kind of going back and forth, it's very easy to say no. This will be like this. We don't know. We're just kind of making
I'm
educated
taking a
guesses.
stand. I wanna take a stand.
Well, you go ahead. Take.
Last
your
time
stance.
we wagered a gray egg, I believe you never paid your debts.
No, that's bullshit. I wagered. we went double or nothing, and I won the
All right.
double or nothing.
Off the
Anyways.
rails. Off the
Yeah,
rails.
back to these active abilities, huh?
I got
right.
one I want to call out.
What?
Taking the mic.
Yeah, go.
Iron Skin versus Hardened Shield.
Right.
I don't think that difference is enough for the difference between a basic and a advanced. I would love to have seen it be more turns, not more percentage.
I like that.
Mic drop.
I mean, I think I agree with you. I think
And vibes, that's the way it's gonna be. All right, no discussion.
exactly after you said like he's right.
No, I changed my mind. But yeah, that's
No, I think
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think the 10%. I don't know. I mean, I think they're both good moves, but I agree that I think the jump up should be a little bit more. You know, especially if they're so comparable. You know.
So it sounds like we're kind of bearish advanced 4. So
Yeah.
you're advanced 4.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I'm kind of bearish all advanced.
toxic and hardened.
Yeah. Toxic. Yeah. Advanced 4 across the board. We're bearish on.
So I might be taking us off on another tangent here.
Okay.
Anyway, I said this last stream, and I want to kind of get your opinions on it. I'm at a point, and this is very different than how I've been thinking, but I'm at a point where I would take a PJ hero over a double advanced hero, regardless of which advanced they are. I think stats is returning to
Stats
being
over
king in my
abilities.
head.
So you're saying stats over abilities.
Yes, and the reason I'm saying that is because if you look at the Berserker tree, it's all stat modifiers. There are some that are HP, there are some that are off of basic damage, which indirectly is stats.
I don't know. Yeah.
You would assume is indirectly stats, but yeah, that's my hot take for the podcast.
So
I need one.
I don't think you're
everyone.
off base. I disagree because I think there are some combinations like my leadership intimidation team.
Yeah.
I think you can build a team around specific abilities here and make it very strong. But I understand where you're coming from, and I do agree, especially all we have is the Berserker, and I agree with you. You're right. The Berserker has all these kind of like stat bonus moves. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should be focusing on stats, and these active abilities, passive abilities are kind of like an afterthought of like, oh, that's nice that they also have that, but the priority should be stats.
So to take it a step further, and I think you guys will agree with this because Bob, you and Matty have both been talking about the action economy type thing. I would say passives, I think you can kind of still build a strategy around. Actives being 2 turns per hero, so 6 turns total or 6 moves total that you're using them. It's just not moving the needle for me.
I actually like them a little bit more, but I like passive.
Why so?
I don't know. Because I like that you get a basic attack with a lot of these.
I will say that most
I like
of
that.
them,
That is big.
yeah, most of them have basic attack attached, which is very nice. So that you're hypothetically you're not losing, quote unquote, losing. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Vibes is back on our side.
All right, good. Wait, what was it? Go back to
Yeah, I skipped that one
codes,
quick.
Yeah.
Basically, what
Yeah,
you guys
I mean,
have been
yeah,
saying.
yeah. Well,
You're not losing a turn.
That's a good segue though, because I do want to talk about cleanse. I think cleanse of the basics and even comparable to some of the advanced, to be honest. Cleanse is very strong in my opinion because all those things we talk about, blind. I mean, poison. I know it's not that strong, but stun. I mean, great question is, can you cleanse if you're stunned?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you could. It's a target hero, so if you have another hero who has cleanse, he could resolve the stun hypothetically.
Yes.
So I mean, I think cleanse is one of the best. I mean, if not the best basic, and might be even comparable to some of these advanced. I love it. Thoughts?
I think it's very contextual. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these, you can just take a potion and cure it. So it's going to depend on exactly how many potions we have access to, how many other abilities.
Right.
Like,
And
if you have a priest that has this type of
Sure.
thing, just trading your. So okay, I blinding wind you.
Mhm.
I basic attack you and blind you, and you spend your entire turn not basic attacking me and using cleanse. That's a win for me.
Yeah.
My
but
turn was better than
if I had
yours.
it on different, if so, you do it to my tank, and then I have a guy in the back row who has cleanse. He's also a priest. Let's just say, he has cleanse. He uses cleanse. He doesn't use any of his mana. He heals the hero or heals the tank that you just blinded, and then we keep moving on with the battle, and that tank
It's
gets
still
to
a
do
win
whatever
for
he
me.
wants. I mean, I think
did a
that's-
basic attack.
I
You
yes.
countered my ability.
From
Sure,
a
but,
net
like,
damage perspective,
I think
you
it could-
green, Yep.
But
I
I
don't
think it's good, but I think it's contextual. Like
Yeah.
if there are builds out there like Seers who can do like massive debuffs like on your whole party and
Yeah.
like they're just stacking you up so that you're just completely foobar. Like obviously
That's a good point.
you want to have access to cleanse, and I believe cleanse. I think that means clear all status.
Yes,
negative
no,
status
that we
effects,
talked about
instead of just one, which is massive.
Franz and I were talking about this. So cleanse, remove all negative
Yes.
status effects from the target.
So I can definitely construe where matches where you could win or lose based on having access to cleanse, but I
Yeah.
do think it's very contextual, and I don't honestly know that it's the best or middle of the pack or somewhere between. I don't know.
Guy, you were saying something, but your mic is very quiet.
I'm still quiet. I was just agreeing with Bob in the sense of like, if I'm forcing you to be defensive, that means I won that round
Sure.
because I'm doing damage and you're not.
Yeah.
The interesting thing I'm seeing about cleanse here is it looks like it will wipe exhaust. Do we think that'll happen?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then it comes to having cleanse on a speed hero,
Yeah.
right?
Top
Because
of
you
the
want
order.
that cleanse to be able to go off
Yep.
ahead
Mhm.
of whatever it is taking its effect. I'm way more bullish on agility heroes than I was right when all this dropped in turn based. I was like, no DPS, Agi kind of stinks, and then somebody on Twitter was like, what about evasion? I'm like, oh, all right, it's okay now, but now I'm back to Agi being important.
As long as it depends on what determines that turn order. If it's exclusively agility, then yes, 100%. I mean, if there's any sort of like luck involved too,
You got to figure it's heavily weighted to, even if it's a formula, you have to assume that Agi plays a big part in that.
But there might be a formula where other things are involved, and
Sure.
So one of the things I talked with a little bit with them about a little bit last night was the term check and how that is used in D&D as rolling a D20 and adding a number to it.
Yeah.
So I think if they go with that sort of a system, there will be a lot of variance. So your ninja with a bunch of agility can always roll a 1 on their initiative and go last or close to last.
Yeah.
If you have a whole strategy that you can weigh the odds in your favor, but I doubt it will be deterministic in that whoever has the highest agility always goes first. There will probably be some variance in
Some
that
RNG
with the check.
that's part of it. Yeah.
With like a D20 or something like that, so that you
Yeah.
can't just always go first because you have a ninja, I would guess.
I mean, yeah, but I would still hope that there's some sort of system that's like, you know, a level 20 ninja, even if he rolls a 1, should go before a level 1 warrior, you know?
Oh yeah.
I think they'll put that in there. I don't think it'll be, I don't know.
I hadn't considered the idea of a check. In my mind, it was.
Then you need to play more D&D.
Well, I've never played, so.
I've invited you several times.
Not realistic invites, just kind of.
Wow.
Hey, you want to play? Anyway.
Wow.
Back on it.
That's ridiculous.
The idea, I enjoy kind of the strategic element of knowing when things are going to happen and being able to plan around them. I didn't really consider the idea that, like, even though I have the fastest hero on the board, he might go second some turns because we're rolling a check. But I'm not saying I dislike that. I just hadn't.
That's going to be a big concept too that we don't know. But I think based on block was the keyword that I was keying on, where they actually phrase it like that, where it sounds like a D&D attack roll against basically armor class, but against block. I think block or evasion seem to be the ways you would defend against an attack roll.
Well, and also I want to clarify, at least the D&D version of it is the battle order, the initiative is rolled once at the start, and it's set for the rest of the battle.
Right.
So So it's not every turn that it's which would be interesting if that was some part of the game. I doubt they would do that though. It's just added complication.
Well, it would be interesting if there's like a ninja or a thief move of like, you know, bypass order and immediately stun or whatever.
The move speed, which is basic 6, is gain first strike in each of the next 2 rounds. First strike being defined as you go first, and if there's a tie, Agi sort of breaks the tie. I don't like this ability at all. Because, speed. It wastes a turn. You're not attacking. There's no basic attack attached to it. And it puts you front of the line for the next 2 turns, which I guess is good if you have a strategy in mind. But you would have to build an entire strategy around that for it to be sufficient, in my opinion. And I don't know if I want to do that necessarily, you know? So I don't like this ability. You know, first strike might be a cool thing that some heroes get in their ability trees. But as a active basic 6, I really don't like this.
I think I agree with you, and I think when you say, like, I don't know if I'll be able to build a strategy around it, I don't know that we're supposed to be building strategies around basic abilities or traits at all. I mean, I think the strategy should be built around the skill tree and the subclass and things like that, and then these are kind of add-ons. It's good in a pinch, or if you need it.
Right.
But there are certain, I mean, if I have a priest and I love playing a certain debuff that I tend to play often, doing a speed ahead of it to make sure that I affect them that turn. I mean, that's a combo play that could have utility in each match that I play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's tough to evaluate. It seems kind of like you don't have anything better to do. Like you're trying to, you know, get off this combo or this spell, but it's not the right turn for whatever reason. So you can just do this and set yourself up for next turn.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem that strong.
I have breaking news.
What?
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Do we have some kind of like sound effects?
Breaking news.
The intern did his first ever summon and got
we talked about that earlier.
What'd he get?
Dragoon. Oh, is
he
this
got
old
Dragoon?
News? Yeah.
Nice.
Holy
a rare
shit,
one?
Good for him.
Yes. Is this new news?
I mean, I wouldn't call it news, so to speak. I think,
and also, I don't think anyone cares that our random friend did a summon.
Yeah, let's. I think in honor of the intern, we should all hit the like and subscribe button, just for him. No, that is awesome though. That's
That
great.
is very cool. Yeah, congrats
Good
to the Bogside intern. But yeah, let's move on.
Critical
I do
aim
want
and
to talk
death
about
mark.
these two because we mentioned them earlier. I think they're both very good. I think I get death mark a little bit more, but critical aim and death mark are the final two basics. I think they're both very strong and I like them a lot. I think we obviously don't know what critical hit is, so that's gonna kind of define how good that basic skill is. But I really like death mark as a basic. I think it's fun and can really throw off your enemy. So
And used together.
well, I mean, yeah, used together, that's incredible. Well, it's two different turns, so they only overlap once hypothetically, right? But
Activate to get for 2 rounds. So would it even be able to overlap? Because death mark.
well,
So you use...
ideally you have two heroes. One has critical aim and one has death mark.
Oh, right, all right. I'm
And
thinking
you,
of it.
you do it in the same round, and then you have like that. Those next 2 rounds are your real hits. But if it's one hero having them, yeah, there's
It
only
would
gonna be
overlap for 1 round. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll only be 1 round overlap. But I mean, where do you guys put these? You know, in the basics, I still think cleanse is number 1. I know there was mixed opinions on that, but these two are very strong for the basics. I like these a lot.
I think the only time that I would put cleanse above these two is if we're in situations where you're getting multiple different debuffs placed on you.
Yeah.
And you need to wipe them all away. Otherwise, like Bob was saying earlier, the idea of an item
Could do
is
it.
the same as cleanse. So I would take critical aim or death mark over it. Another thing real quick about critical aim and the idea of crit that we don't know what it is yet. The idea that certain classes could probably boost that crit.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's where the confluence of having critical aim on those heroes.
Sure.
Very good.
Yeah.
And it seems like critical aim, you get the effect immediately because you activate it and you get that
then you deal
bonus,
damage.
and then you deal damage immediately and with that plus 70%. The
Same with
70% number is just kind of blowing my head or blowing my mind because
It is
I
insane.
don't know what that means. Critical
I-
hits obviously
yeah.
don't work like I thought they would work, which is fine. So we'll figure it out. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
It's a big number.
well, here we go. I can reference another game. Teamfight Tactics is a game I like to play. It's an
Hey.
auto battler. So they have a lot of different items and stuff that can get you to above 100% critical, but the critical damage is not that impressive. It's like 1.25, and then if you have some, and then ideally you get some bonuses for that damage too. So if you have somebody who has like double crit damage, and then you get the items that give you 100% critical hit, those guys become the strongest character that you have on the map. But without that confluence, getting 100% crit damage doesn't give you that much more. Obviously, it's better. It's 1.25. It's a little bit better than your normal attack. But like hypothetically, crit damage could be kind of mild. And so getting close to 100% crit damage isn't going to be a game changer in that scenario, you know? But
What game was that?
Teamfight Tactics. It's
You mean Web
it's like-
2 Alluvium. Got it.
No. It's like it's like League of Legends auto battler.
That was my joke when
I didn't hear it.
land.
Can I hear the
I
joke
said-
again? Can I hear it again?
I
Can you
said,
say it
oh.
again?
It was pretty good.
Oh, you mean Web 2 Alluvium.
Oh, that's good. Actually, that's funny.
Hey,
That's funny. Yeah.
Clip that. All right. What's next?
Right. So I don't know. We'll see. I think critical aim. Honestly, if critical damage is closer to kind of like a D&D version of it, or like double damage, critical aim could be extremely OP. You know, but that
Was
remains to be
critical
seen.
defined at all of like what
No,
a
it's not.
critical hit
You
is?
missed that first half of the podcast. But
That's fine. You know, that I knew the answer to that. It was just for our listeners. That's
Mhm.
late.
Another thing,
Yeah.
we did also hear that spells and heals will also have a chance to crit.
yeah.
So that's big.
Right. All right. Let's look at the advanced here. Exhaust and daze. I'm kind of underwhelmed just because I don't think exhaust and daze are that strong of an effect. I mean,
Well, exhaust is skipping a turn, correct?
Exhaust is
no, it's only
Hero
yeah.
can't take an action for 1 round.
No, exhaust seems great.
And interrupts. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was getting it confused with
Daze is the one that
days. Yeah.
we're not sure on yet. Target's next turn is moved
See,
to
I
the
thought-
last in the round.
So
Interrupts.
I thought days was going to be confuse, right? Which
Was.
confuse is a keyword that's like you might attack your own people or a random enemy. That's what I thought days was, which I'd be kind of more excited about it in that case.
I think
That's a
as
movie
I'm
you're
listening
thinking
to
about.
us chat, I think we are undermining the importance of order. Because if you know that someone's dazed, the next move you can have a chain effect of abilities that maybe you confuse them now that they're dazed, or some other kind of chain ability tree of like almost like a 1-2 punch kind of thing. You know, jab, jab, uppercut, or whatever you want to call it.
I think that'd be very interesting, and I'm curious if like if Guy, like you created that combo, that like sort of speed guy at the top does daze, damage guy a little bit later kills the dazed guy, and that becomes your meta. Couldn't that just be beat with a team of tanks who could just take hits? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're playing on your terms, not the other team's terms.
I mean, fair. Yeah.
You know
that's
what
a
I
good
mean?
point.
So, and can everything be countered?
Again, yeah,
Yes,
that'll
everything be
determine,
countered,
you know,
but
how much damage can the DPSs do. You know, if you have a support guy who's dazing somebody, can your DPSs do enough damage that the daze actually helps, you know?
or is that the strategy that you create a chain effect on their healer, that you daze
Oh,
their
that's a good
healer
point,
and
yeah.
then do something else where the healer becomes completely negated?
But again, the only way daze would be successful is if you're first to act. Otherwise, there's a chance you're dazing somebody who already moved that turn.
It says their next turn is
The
moved
next,
to the
it's
last
the
in the
next
round.
one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Can I interject here with something?
No.
No,
Shut up.
get out of here.
All right, what's next?
No, what do you got to say?
So I'm just looking. So reposition, the wording here, and this is something that we might want to clarify with Workhorse.
All right.
It says a hero could spend its turn moving to a different position that is one. All right, so we don't have to clarify because it says it there in plain English, but you can't go 1 to 3, 3 to 1. It has to be one position away.
Correct.
I think that's interesting. Maybe just because I'm conditioned from Fight Club to be able to move from
Yeah.
front to back, it seems like a bigger deal. But
But
that was
also
one of those where I should have read more carefully before opening
Probably.
my mouth.
Yep.
So we could just
But
move on.
also interesting of, I wonder if any ability skill trees for like specific heroes are going to have repositioning as a move, quote unquote. You know,
I could see a Dragoon having kind of
right,
jump
right,
type.
somebody like that, or again, I say it a lot, but like Thief or Ninja having kind of like repositioning moves. You know,
Yeah, I know we're kind of attributing everything to Thief and Ninja, but
well, those are the classes that. Like,
they don't hit
they're the
hard, so they
wild
need a
cards.
lot of other
They're the
stuff,
wild
you know?
cards. They could have anything. They're the
Yeah.
catch-alls. All right. Oh, I'm very pumped. I think Explosion is excellent. I really love Explosion. Deal damage to one guy with your basic attack, and then do that basic attack again to all three of them. So as long as I'm understanding it correctly, the one target that you're hitting gets basic attack twice, and then the two others also get a basic attack. So for somebody who's got a strong basic attack, this is an excellent move, in my opinion.
Yep. And it synergizes really well with like any buffs.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. If you have especially leadership intimidation move that I want to do,
like, how about
Yeah.
Giant Slayer?
or Giant Slayer, yeah.
Bada
Wow.
bing.
yeah.
Or critical
Because
aim.
the
Critical.
way it's phrased, that it's 100% of the damage dealt. So if you have buffs on your attack, that will apply to the AoE, which I think just makes it excellent. You know?
Yeah, the idea of a sweeper again.
Oh yeah.
That
Well,
seems
this is
right.
your guy who you want for your 1v3 to save the day somehow. you
Right.
know,
I mean,
like,
you throw on, Duelist. How does Duelist read?
it has to be 1v1 for duelists, so no. But
Right. Oh,
it's
okay. So it
still,
doesn't the
this still is a
AoE
move that
portion of
could
it.
be like some one last guy.
But the other
against
one,
the-
clutch.
Yeah,
Clutch
clutch
work.
would be amazing. Yeah. Because and if it was double, well, could it be double clutch?
Sure.
Yeah, because that's passive. Yeah,
Could be.
it could be double clutch and explosion would be amazing. And if you pull it off, so it's like, that'd be awesome.
It's a very niche kind of. Like, you need a lot to happen to be in that situation, but when you get in that situation, it's the kind of thing where it's like,
I think- I
I get
mean-
to do it.
Yeah. It's happening. Yeah, we talked about Hardened Shield. I think it's a little weak for an advanced. I think, especially because Iron Skin seems basically the same. I know 10% is a good amount, but and 4 rounds is nice. I do like that. but-
I'd rather it be 20% at 6,
yeah.
but that's just me.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let's go to the elites here. Stun. We talked about stun. I think it's great. I think it's a great move. Obviously, it's an elite. I think it's right on par with what it should be. I mean, you guys have any thoughts on that? I think it's very straightforward. Stun's good. It's an elite. It's a good move.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, we went into it quite a lot.
So Second Wind, I really like Second Wind here. As long as you have somebody with a lot of hit points. I mean, it'll be nice. It's nice for a caster, but for a paladin or a dragoon, I think Second Wind could really shift the battle for you. Especially if it's your tank. If your tank is taking a ton of damage and then does Second Wind and just lifts everybody up, I think this could be a huge game changer, pulling this off.
Yeah, think of what we were saying about heal, where it was like heal's kind of nice. Where it's going to be most beneficial is for those heroes that typically don't have the ability to
Right.
heal.
Yeah.
Second Wind is heal on steroids.
Yeah.
Hot take. Give me Elite 2 over Exalted 1.
Wow.
It's a pretty hot take.
I'm just
pretty hot.
not impressed by Resurrection.
I'll take the exalted one, but I'll
Yeah.
never summon for it, so I don't know how I'm gonna get it. But I just rent those summons.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think there's potential. There's so much potential for you to walk into a battle with Resurrection and not pull it off, and
Right.
you would walk away from that battle so mad. If you lose that battle and don't get the Resurrection.
And that's kind of the key, is there's a very finite time when you can use it, right?
Yeah.
Once someone else dies. Second Wind can come at any point in the match where you deem it as giving you enough value at that point.
Right. Well, also I think if you lose a battle and you don't use Second Wind, you're not going to be as upset. Like whereas
Yeah.
you walk away and you didn't use your Resurrection, you're going to be so pissed,
Quit flooding Raph's bags.
Yeah. That's we buff and pump Raph's heroes around here, all right?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything on Summon Night, but Resurrection.
Oh man.
I still think Resurrection is better
I
than
do
Second
too.
Wind. I mean,
It was a hot take. What are you gonna
yes.
say? Sometimes
Obviously,
you just gotta
it's
let them
gonna-
fly in the
It's going to be
podcast game.
frustrating. It's frustrating that if you don't get to do it, it's very frustrating. I understand that, but also when you do get to do it, it is such a game changer. It is a major game changer.
So,
If you pull it off successfully and bring back to life your tank, you're golden. Are you kidding me?
So look, I'm looking at 50% of max HP, right? As opposed
Okay.
to 50% of missing HP plus 75% of that value to my other 2 heroes. And with Resurrection, you're coming back with Exhausted, which I have to look it up every time.
You
How
basically
much-
miss
make
a
a
turn. You
move
miss
that
one turn.
next turn.
So, kind of counterpoint to that, how many of the abilities are AoE damage versus specific target damage?
So explosion is AOE.
For Berserker, there's quite a bit of AoE.
Oh wait, you mean like
so we don't.
I'm
need
I'm
skills?
just kind of
Yeah.
thinking in general because
I mean, we
like
don't know. We
in
don't
order
know.
for
Yeah.
Second Wind to be worthwhile, your entire team needs to be taking damage. Where
That's a good point.
typically for a 3v3 match, the main strategy is target one hero, kill one hero.
That's a
Get to
good point.
3v2 as fast
Yeah,
as possible.
That's fair.
But yeah, it's just explosion in the traits, but I'm guessing that the class skills will have a lot of AoE.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Because
like
they had AoE as one of the keywords, you know, for so it's gonna be in the game, you know.
yeah, it'll definitely be in the game, but I'm curious kind of how strategies will work if people will try to do builds that are all AoE or if it'll be more single target focused.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you're suggesting that Second Wind might not actually be worth it if only one hero is down in health.
Exactly.
Yeah. I still struggle with that because it will eventually be beneficial at some point in the battle.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Everything will have its moments, but I'm saying
Yeah.
just overall, like kind of what we're saying of relative to a full resurrection or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
and
maybe
also,
you have one
I do
hero
wanna
with
go back
resurrection
to
and the
something...
second hero with second wind.
Wait,
and then you
say that again.
resurrect the
Sorry,
hero.
say it again, guy.
You resurrect your tank and then you second wind your tank directly after that, and you go from like basically your team borderline wiped out to now back to full health.
So I did want to bring this up of when you die and come back, does that reset the hero?
As far as buffs, I would assume so, right?
Well, yeah, sure,
Buffs,
but
debuffs,
also,
whatever.
I specifically, I mean
Cooldowns.
these
Like
abilities.
mana.
Oh.
And mana, yeah, I want to know mana too, but also
I would
these
think
abilities
no.
are one time.
I think
I'm
he said
assuming-
once per match.
So if you die, it doesn't reset it. I mean, I think that's a fair assumption, but I would want a
Yeah.
clarification on that.
We could ask, but I think he said that.
Especially if I don't, and again, I think it's very far-fetched, but if you have two heroes with resurrection, like hypothetically, could you just forever continue resurrecting?
No, I think we
You
all
know what I
agree
mean? Like,
this isn't
yeah.
a real scenario.
Yeah, that's not real life, but like that's also cool if it's possible. But no, I think it's one per battle is how we describe it. So even if you die, you can't then redo it on coming back to life. But that is interesting for cooldowns, like Guy said, and also interesting for like the ability trees, you know, sort of mana and use per battle. If there is a limit, I doubt there's going to be limits for the abilities per battle, but
Yeah, I think it's worth asking
yeah.
what mana you come back with, because
Yeah.
it specifies 50% max HP. Is it 50% max mana as well?
Or was it whatever you were at when you died?
That's definitely a good ask.
Yeah. Well, just in general, I mean, introducing the idea of resurrection in the game, there's a million questions to, you know, how does that play out? Because I'm sure there's going to be several abilities that are like, you have, well, look at the archer, that one like shot that was like 3 shots. Like, do you have an arrow limit? I mean, probably not, I know, but stuff like that, like that's important, is like, does it reset on death or not? I think that's interesting, especially when you introduce a resurrection ability into the game.
I will be curious if HP or MP actually regenerate on their own at all.
That's
Or-
interesting.
They could use that as a way to sell or a lot of potions, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like
Yeah.
or it resets very slowly. Like after you're done fighting a dungeon, you can either wait a week or you can spend the potions. But that's kind of something else.
Well, and also I really like I'll say this. I mean, have you guys? I mean, this is kind of off track, but I really like the addition that they did to the stamina of like higher levels. It's now decreased. I know it's very small right now because we're all like low levels, but I do like that addition that the higher levels regain their stamina faster. I think that's kind of cool and incentivizes us to get our heroes to higher levels, you know?
Yeah, I think we've kind of seen levels not have kind of the impact on the tavern that they either expected them to or want them to. And I think additions like that, additions like Dark Summoning have just, you know, kind of given more value to the level. which there should be value. That's what we're grinding. And once PvP comes out, there'll be an obvious advantage to those levels. But I think they want that to take shape a little sooner.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I've been checking the market and honestly setting the level, like level 5+ as my like automatic when I'm searching, because I think PvP is happening very soon. I think March of this year is very realistic, and so I'm looking for heroes that are high level that will be able to compete. You know, that's just what I'm looking at when I'm in the tavern. All right. So we covered everything that I had in my notes, or at least basically covered. I don't know. I probably missed a million things. Some other thoughts you guys have that maybe we didn't cover. Anything you want to bring up? Now's your time. Now's the time. Speak now.
I mean, I got a lot of things, but we're at 2 hours now. I'm getting tired.
I know. Give me some. Give me one. Give me one, Bob. Come on.
One thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. What I mostly think about is how they're gonna do like the armor, or not armor, but like the stats. I'm really curious about the stats. Like, what exactly does endurance do? What exactly does agility do? Dexterity.
Well, I mean,
because that's the decisions that we're making right now.
Yeah.
And we're making them pretty dark. And we just got a huge info dump, and I don't really know much more than I did on December 24th about the stats. And that's what we're doing, is we're leveling up our heroes and choosing stats. And I don't know.
I think it's very interesting. I think, and again, I'm gonna do it, and Franz can get mad at me, but you know, D&D, classic D&D is there's a stat for your defense, and then somebody rolls an attack, and if they beat that defense, they hit you. And if they hit you, then there's a separate thing for how much damage they do. And I would hope that this game has a similar kind of idea of there's an attack and a damage that blocks it, or there's an attack and then a defense that blocks it, and then the damage roll is separate, not necessarily like automatic. Here's my
difficulty checks. So like
you know,
a different way to do that would
know.
be like Final Fantasy. There's no difficulty checks. You just do your things.
Yes.
And sometimes they get mitigated by other guys who have skills going on, but you can just do your things and it'll work. And Fight Club's the same way. But D&D is a lot different. It's hit or miss. It's a 1 or 0 binary type of thing.
Yeah.
With, you know, THACO, like what we're talking about basically.
Yeah.
But anyways, that'll be really interesting. And
I actually never played second edition, but I am aware of THACO being a thing. Yeah.
It was really stupid. Glad we got rid of it.
That's what I've heard. Everyone just complained about it. But yeah, I hope that there is a separate, like, kind of 2-step process to that, because I really like that in D&D. I think that's very fun to be like, I have 1 million hit points, but I have no defense, so I can take hits, or I can withstand a lot of them, but I can't block it, you know. Or a guy who's like, I have awesome blocking, but if I get hit once, I'm dead. You know, I really love that idea, and I know that's kind of niche, you know, in the weeds gaming, but like I kind of really like that idea of.
It makes the outcome a lot less determined.
Yeah, you can focus on one or the other, you know. And
the D20 makes a lot of things that can happen.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Franz, what do you have to add to that?
I think I'm good as far as points to make. I do have a summon that I was hoping to do, and then I wanted to do
fun. Let's do it. Let's end with a summon.
Yeah,
let me shoot it over to Guy. Any thoughts on stuff that we're talking about? Like, you know, what was World of Warcraft in terms of
Yeah, Guy's not here.
Attack and damage. He's muted. You're muted, Guy. He left. Okay, so never mind. Forget everything I said there.
Anyway, what I was starting to say before Matty, very rudely interrupted me.
Yep.
I won Tilt Proof Tuesday.
Oh shit! Nice.
You got tiers?
420 tiers.
Damn,
so
what's that worth? That's like $10.
It's a lot. But since we have 22 people that have stood with us for almost 2 hours now, not going to give away all of them because they're pricey as hell. I'm going to give away 200 and a blue egg. So blue egg and the tiers to hatch them.
Wait, can I get in on this? Am I allowed to be in on this?
No. Absolutely not. No, so I'm trying to think of the best way to do it. Matty, can you get the wheel up and
No,
we tell people to?
I've never done that actually.
You'll figure it out. You're a smart guy. And then I would say just anyone who's in and listening and wants to be a part of the raffle, just say your name or say, put me in the raffle, say something, and we'll edge in. While you have until my summon finishes to get in.
So I'm just pulling from the chat.
Yeah, just from the chat as people say, like,
All right.
put me in the raffle.
All right, I'm gonna give you the stream.
J-Dub, first one, put me in. So you have until I finish this summon and get rugged. So here's what we're doing. We're going for the Dread. We got a ninja sub over here on the Sage. This one's level 10, so hoping we'll get 2 bonus intelligence on it. Chance for 2 advanced, and then I'm hoping for an elite carryover. And I know I should be saving this and trying to get a transcendent dread, but I don't have the patience for it. We're in degen mode here.
Well,
so,
I heard Second Wind was better than the Transcendent anyway. So
there you go.
fine. Better
There
than
you go.
Resurrection at least.
Yep. It is inactive. If this were in passive, I'd wait, but Second Wind, OP, let's do it. And off of that kind of discussion, I mentioned this last pod. I'm not buying towards any specific moves because they're all going to get changed and balanced, and something may seem OP today. Don't go out and blow your whole stash on it because it's a game. It's going to be balanced. So we're throwing these in the pit. Adding some tiers here, and then I am going full degen with the greater insight stone, bumping up that wisdom for 2 reasons. So first, wisdom, magic defense, good on Dragoon, good on Dread Knight, obviously good on Sage, but I wanted it to be something that's good for a Sage too, because if I did a Might Stone, right, perfect for Dread, if I land with the Sage, that's a pretty bad rug. So as far as chances here, there is not a high chance that I get rugged here. Yeah, actually that's down here. So like a 25% chance I get rugged. So we're hoping we don't see that.
I also really appreciate the chat saying "put me in, coach" a lot.
Nice. Love it. All right, we're burning. We're proving the stone because I've never used a grater before.
Is this
Even
greater? Oh shit.
Yeah, I actually bought another grater off of our boy Effects today. A greater
Nice.
Dex. I'm copying Sandwich's strategy with his archers.
For Dex,
It's
yeah.
a copycat league, they say, and yeah, I'm trying to make a super archer because I have a leggy that has really not leveled up well, so I'm throwing him in with another leggy and trying to make a Dex monster. All right, here we go. Oh wait, what's this pending up top? Is that the second approval?
All right, I'm at 23 entries for the wheel, so
I want this
that's
to go
everybody.
away.
Sometimes it's pending.
I think it just went. Yep,
Oh.
cool. $160 tiers for this. Maybe I shouldn't have done the giveaway. You know what? Just bag that. Don't worry.
All right, it's done.
Just hit the end broadcast button. All right.
What are
This
we
is
looking for here? We're looking for
we're looking for a dread.
a dread, right?
It's
as I
very
thought.
simple.
Yeah.
A purple one preferably.
Big sword,
Big
right?
sword energy.
So this is my second ever dread attempt. I DS'd Goon Sage like the day Dark Summoning was announced when the prices hadn't adjusted yet.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. Got a basic pirate.
Not what I need to hear right now, Bob. That's not good timing. Oh God, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Mm-hmm. Let's see that sword. Let's see it.
Come on.
Oh,
All right.
it's a goon.
It's gonna be purple, so
It's gonna be purple.
Not purple.
Hey, how
Not
about
purple.
it? How about it? Ouch.
Mining.
Ouch.
All right, second
Ooh,
wind
second wind.
stayed.
Second wind.
Toxic. We're really gonna need to buff that after all the talk of toxic. All right.
A goon with second wind? I mean, that's awesome.
I mean,
many
a
of those are
a
there?
mining
There's not that
goon.
many that exist, right?
I mean, I'm sure they're out there.
Didn't we just have a goon with second wind? Or is that a
Yeah,
set?
no, that's what I threw in there. They're the
Oh, my
same
bad. I
amount
didn't
that there
realize
were previously.
But this one has a wisdom stone though.
This one's
There's
also
some tiers.
lesser rarity. Oh yeah, the wisdom stone, so I can't throw this back in. All right, we're gonna sell it.
Sell it, yeah.
Who wants it?
Yeah, who wants it on the stream?
You buy it on stream, I'll give you a few jewel discount.
two jewel.
God, that would have been
All right.
so cool, so much cooler if I got like a mythic.
Oh, if you
dread.
got it, if you hit it,
Yeah, we'd go
we'd
nuts.
viral,
It'd be a
probably.
party. What? Why is half the wheel empty?
I don't know. That's weird, huh? Is that how it
How
works?
how did you manage to mess up the wheel?
I don't know.
All right, copy all of them, copy all the names, and refresh. 'Cause something.
There we go.
There we go. All right,
All right,
shuffle
we
it up
ready?
a few times.
Yeah. Shuffle.
It's for 200 tiers and
200
either
tiers?
I'll say egg of your choice.
Egg of your choice of all four?
Of all four, no gold.
No gold, yeah.
I'm not crazy. Come on.
You're not crazy. All right.
Actually, we're not gonna say all four. We'll say three. Not giving up a yellow.
You're not giving up a yellow. Oh
Screw
wow.
that. Screw that.
I love this give like so generous.
We'll see who it lands on. Maybe there'll be some other stipulations. If
if it's
not,
someone I like,
if
I'll
it's
give
not
you a yellow.
Raph, we're
yeah.
forgetting this happened.
Oh,
Hey!
hey, FXC, he deserves it.
He doesn't need it. We're cool.
He deserves it.
No, yeah, definitely. Awesome. You want to take us
All
out?
right. I think that's it, right? Final comments.
Oh, that's
no,
a
that's
bad look.
us.
Why don't we get that off the screen?
Round the horn. Any final comments on abilities or combat words that we learned? Guy, you joined us late. Do you have anything you want to add?
Still not here.
He's still not there. Thank you, Guy. Bob, very much appreciate you coming on as a guest. Any final comments on combat keywords or abilities and stuff that we learned about?
No, not really. I'm just looking for more info. I could read another spreadsheet full of class abilities all day. It sounds awesome.
I know.
I can't wait.
Also, we didn't talk about it, but shout out to Wowie.
Yeah. We should have covered this.
This was his document where he went through, and honestly, he had similar opinions to us. Not too crazy.
We'll have to see if he, wants to come on the
Yeah,
pod
I'd
at
love
some
to have
point.
him on.
I would love to kind of hash these out with him.
Yeah, I will say, where is it? The passives. Oh, he changed it. Okay, he gave Toxic an F to start, and he must have adjusted it.
I think he adjusted it during Grady's stream.
Grady
where
bullied him.
Warhorse- Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Because he gave Toxic an F, which I'm not
Second
against.
Life triple S. Where's
Yeah, the-
how does he feel about the second wind? Ooh,
He
yeah.
gave it an S, and he gave SS to
I'll have to talk to
Resurrection.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tweeted this, but this rating system is out of control. So the reason S exists is because you do a rating from A, B,
it's
C,
better.
D.
Yes, yeah.
Like makes sense, but you have something that's so great that it just can't coexist with any other A's. So you need another tier, and that's it. And that's just like a very small thing.
Sure.
And,
Yeah, that's what S tier means. Yeah.
well, now we got way too many S's. We
Yeah,
got
he had
too many
SS
S's.
and then SSS. So
I think we need more S's.
We lost-
he's got
we need
levels
one
above
S.
S. Yeah.
So we need to move everything else down. Double S is A, single S is B, etc. So
Fair.
that's just me being anal retentive.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
drove me
yeah.
nuts. But other than
But I
that, I
mean-
loved it. Other than that, it was great.
What got the D there?
gotta work on that.
Speed.
Speed.
So
He agrees with me.
there.
I don't like speed. Anyways, that's a whole nother podcast. Franz, last thoughts on anything we talked about today?
I've given all my thoughts. There's
Your thoughts are
literally-
out.
there's-
You're out of thoughts. You
There's
have no
nothing
more thoughts
left up here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go stare at this rug dread for the next 20 minutes.
Oh, come on. It was a Dragoon. You're going to be fine. It's a Dragoon with a fucking elite. You know what?
You're threw
fine.
in
You're
an
fine.
uncommon goon with an elite.
You're fine.
Whatever.
All right. My name is
Good
Matty
pirate.
Pesq. This has been Bogside Chats. I want to thank Bob Nothing for coming on as a guest. Thanks for Guy coming on late from his whatever thing
And
he was
leaving
doing.
early.
And leaving early, yeah. And as usual, thank you, Franz. We will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.
End. I hit end then.